is Mr. Relevant on a Friday. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Everlight Solar Studio downtown Madison, getting you ready for the weekend ahead. Thanks for being with us on this. I'm going to call it a beautiful Friday. 47 degrees out. I think the warmest it's been all week. This weather stinks. Not even part of Strouf's notes today. I'll get into that in a second. But, yeah, it's that time of year, I guess. Now, I've been thinking about something, also not in Strouf's notes, but I want to get Hunter Vaughn's thoughts on this before we jump in. When does the Christmas tree go up, Hunter? In you and your wife's, I think you live in an apartment, right?
Yes.
When does the Christmas tree go up in your apartment?
Black Friday at the soonest.
Oh,
will
okay.
not go up until after
Really?
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Won't let it happen.
I'm an earlier guy, but I don't know about this year. Yeah, so, okay. I was thinking about that recently. Like, what about Christmas music? Post-Thanksgiving?
I prefer it post-Thanksgiving, but I also worked in retail.
Yeah, so it starts now.
Yeah, and I hated it.
What did you do in retail?
I worked at the Verizon store up in Beaver Dam.
I always ask you that question. You always say something about retail. I said, what do you do in retail? And then I remembered that you literally worked for our company at Verizon. Yeah. My time in Lids was also spent. They had great music 10 months out of the year, but then they'd flip to Christmas music like November and December, and I hated it. And it was like the same 12 songs. Christmas music stinks. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to put it out there. Christmas music stinks.
Christmas music is fine if you're only listening to it like in the car.
No.
But when you have to hear it for 8 hours a day,
that's fair.
every single day, you just hate Mariah Carey.
Well, yeah, I agree. However, I was just about to ask you what is the best Christmas song. I would say that is the best Christmas song. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah.
Dominic the Donkey.
I don't even know what that is. Sing it for me.
I can't sing it.
All right, whatever.
I'll find it and we'll play it.
Whatever. All right, that's Hunter Vaughn. I'm Alex Strouf. It is Mr. Irrelevant with you. Chris Orr going to join us in a few minutes to talk Badgers, Indiana, to talk Packers, Rams, to talk Brett Rippon, Jordan Love. We'll chat with him in a minute. He's going to join us remotely. Chris and I had a few beers last night, and we were theorizing what this show would look like. So we are going to execute that perfectly in just a few minutes. But as always, let's jump in with Strouf's notes. Note number one is trades are weird, man. Trades are weird. Rasul Douglas gets sent to the Buffalo Bills earlier this week. We talked a lot about it on Wednesday's episode with Colin Russo, which you can find wherever you get your podcasts, as well as the ESPN Madison YouTube page. But more details now have come out about the Rasul Douglas trade. So the trade deadline was Tuesday, Halloween, at 4 p.m. Eastern in Buffalo, reminder, in the Eastern time zone. So this from Elena Getzenberg, who is the Bills NFL Nation reporter for ESPN. She tweeted yesterday, quote, Rasul Douglas said that he found out that he was being traded somewhere in the 3 p.m. hour on Tuesday, being the 2 p.m. hour here at Lambeau time. He said that Packers GM Brian Gutekunst called him and said they were trading him, and Douglas hung up on him because he didn't believe him. Then Packers president Mark Murphy called to thank him for everything, and he realized it was real. She goes on to tweet, and Rasul Douglas goes on to say that him and Aaron Jones had a moment where they cried together before ultimately he wound up in Buffalo. That is a really weird process for somebody that is in the same building as you, right? Like, Rasul Douglas was in Lambeau Field, as was Brian Gutekunst, as was Mark Murphy. And they called him to tell him he was traded. Trades are just wild to me, man. It's like, hey, you're performing well. We can get return on you, so we're just going to send you elsewhere because our team stinks. So here you go, man. Go elsewhere. We're going to get a third-round pick for you. It's just weird to me. Second note today is phone calls. And on that note, with Brian Gutekunst specifically, he's a phone call guy, right? I'm a text message guy. I'm not a huge phone call guy. I don't mind a phone call. The friends of mine that are over, 35, they prefer phone calls. I get that. I'm cool with it. But Brian Gutekunst, a total phone call guy. And when I heard that he called Rasul Douglas, who was in the same building as him, to let him know that he traded him, it brought me back to when Aaron Rodgers was in the process of being traded to the New York Jets earlier this year. And Aaron, saying, I didn't talk to Brian Gutekunst. I don't get reception in my mansion in California. You got to FaceTime me. Brian Gutekunst then says, I believe it was at the NFL Combine or maybe the owners' meetings back in, I think, April or May. He says that he called Aaron Rodgers multiple times. He's a phone call guy. And I guess I get that. But when it comes to players, especially of these two's caliber, right? I know Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Famer, Rasul Douglas, Chris Orr's former teammate, who we'll talk to in a moment. He's a very good player, very good cornerback. I feel like both of those guys are probably like, hey, let's sit down face to face and talk about this. right? I don't think a phone call is enough. And I like Goody for the most part. I think he's a solid general manager. We'll see what he's actually made of over the course of the next 2 years, counting this year. But I just don't think phone calls are enough. I think you need to go face-to-face. Like, hey, man, you're no longer working in the same building as me because I just traded you for a 3rd-round pick. You're going with a 5th-round pick, too, by the way. I just feel like a phone call doesn't suffice. And Rasul Douglas doesn't either. He hung up on him. He thought it was like a Halloween April Fool's joke. Very strange. All right, quarterback matchup on Sunday. Packers getting ready to host the Rams Sunday at noon at Lambeau Field. I don't think it's going to be Matthew Stafford. I think it's going to be Brett Rippon, which is just really funny to me. Jordan Love, Brett Rippon. Quarterback matchup of the century. I remember thinking back in week 2 as we were previewing the Falcons game. I tried to make that a sexy quarterback matchup because Desmond Ridder, who's now been benched, and Jordan Love had both had solid week 1s. And I thought, yeah, this is a fun, up-and-coming quarterback matchup. You know, this is really entertaining. Good stuff here. Desmond Ridder, Jordan Love, woohoo. Boy, here we are, 6 weeks later. Desmond Ridder's been benched. Jordan Love can't throw a touchdown in the first half. This is going to be awful. We are going to suffer through awful quarterback play on Sunday, and I'm actually really excited about it. I don't know if I know the saying, misery loves its company. I think I love misery. I love horrible football. I love shitty football. It's just, I love pain. And I'm going to go through it both Saturday as Wisconsin heads to Indiana and Sunday as Jordan Love versus Brett Rippon is the only thing I care about in the entire world for 3.5 hours. I love misery. Quarterback matchup sucks. All right, Wisconsin, Indiana, Saturday at Indiana, 11 a.m. kickoff here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin wins. They are bowl eligible for the 22nd year in a row. That is the 3rd longest streak in the FBS. It is the longest streak in the Big Ten. I love it. This game's going to stink too. I'm sick of bad football, but I actually think I love it. I'm a basket case today. I'm a basket case. Hunter, do you like bad football? Because I'm starting to think I actually have an appreciation for bad football. Because bad football, hold on, let me give you my theory and then we'll get your response. I think bad football is actually good football. Because if both teams are bad, that means you have a close game and that creates a good football game. So bad football actually equals good football in my mind.
This is how I've always approached the MAC-tion. I love the MAC, and everybody's like, oh, it's bad football. It's not good football.
Oh, it is bad football.
Yes, but both teams aren't to the same caliber as an SEC team.
That's true.
So then it's fun football. It's a close game. As long as football games are close, it is good football for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see both Saturday and Sunday. Indiana's is not half bad, but I saw a stat last night. Their head coach, Allen. What's his first name? Tom Allen? Tim Allen? No, Tim Allen's from Home Improvement. Tom Allen. He's 2-21 in Big Ten play since the start of the 2021 season. So the last 3 seasons, essentially, 2-21. It's crazy bad. I don't know how that man has a job. Indiana basketball school. All right, Chris Orr joins us next. It's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Our conversation with our buddy Chris Orr, as always, brought to you by my friends at Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County, whether it is the signature green bottle of gin, that blue bottle of vodka, the cherry brandy, the Rock Island rum, the award-winning bourbons, whatever you want, elevate it with Door County Distillery. They do it better than anybody else. Check out their website, doorcountydistillery.com, for the retailer nearest you, as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. Again, that's doorcountydistillery.com. Let's talk with former Badger linebacker Chris Orr. I love this guy, man. Former Badgers linebacker Chris Orr joins us now. He's the best. Chris, what's up, dude? How are you?
What's up, man? I'm great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
So you and I were solving the world's problems last night out at the Great Dane. Having a few, just solving the world's problems, figuring everything out. We were talking football. You were talking to me about, like, high IQ plays. It was great. It was a great conversation. I always love hanging out with you. So you just heard me, and I appreciate your patience and waiting around here for a few minutes. But you just heard me talk about, like, shitty football being good football. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, it's just like it's more so like nobody wants to watch Georgia play, like, I don't know, Whitewater. Like, nobody wants to see that. Like, you already know.
Hey, hold on, time out. Hold on. So like I'm wearing my UWSP pullover today. And on Wednesday night, it was UW Stevens Point. It was my game of the century on Wednesday night. I went over to the Kohl Center. I watched the Badgers men's basketball team ranked 26th in the country right now. I know that doesn't actually make sense, but they are the first team off the AP poll going into the season, which starts Monday, versus a D3 school in UW Stevens Point. And Wisconsin won by 43 points. They went on a 28-2 run in the second half. So you're right. That's bad basketball. I did not enjoy myself. I'll be completely honest with you. So Georgia Whitewater would not be good. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So it's more so just like you match up talent-wise or competition-wise. But what I will say is in the NFL especially, since you're going to have two, I guess, not so good quarterbacks facing off here in Green Bay, I like to see how good you are as a coach. Because now it's on your coach. Like, you know that, like, Coach McVay knows Brett Rippon is not going to win me the game. And I think Coach LaFleur is leaning more so towards the thought of Jordan Love is not going to go out there and win me the game.
Yeah.
I need to do whatever I can, especially since they're both play callers, whatever I can to help my quarterback out. So that's what I'm interested to see. I think that's how this game should be judged.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Your boy Rasul Douglas, I was just talking about him. You played with him in Carolina. I don't know if you were on and listening when I read what happened yesterday, but he got a phone call in the 3 p.m. hour of why are you leaning in like that? Are you having trouble hearing me or what?
Yeah, I can't hear you. You just got real low.
Hunter, what are you doing back there, buddy?
Randomly.
Trying to get rid of a weird popping noise, and I made things worse. So I'm not touching anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything. Everything will be fine.
There it is.
So, Chris, your boy Rasul Douglas gets traded. And he tells reporters in Buffalo yesterday that he got a phone call in the 2 p.m. hour locally, so an hour before the deadline, from the Packers general manager, Brian Gutekunst, that he was traded. And he thought he was joking, and he hung up the phone on him, and then he didn't realize it was real until the Packers president and CEO, Mark Murphy, called him to thank him for everything he's done over the course of the last 2 years. And then he realized it was real. Like, that's just a wacky situation. What was your reaction to that news? And specifically, his reaction to being traded, he was thinking it was an April Fool's joke on Halloween. Wild.
Yeah. No, that is wild. I've heard some crazy trade stories, man. You won't even believe it. Like, a lot of times you don't know, just because they're trying to work through it as quick as possible. He is somebody that you probably would have thought would be on the trade market, though, for the Packers at least. You know, he signed a 3-year deal 3 years ago, so you're about to go into your last year of it. Let's go ahead and ship him out, man. I think that the Packers are leaning more so towards the thought of we might need to start cleaning house, but it might work out for Russell. Like, man, I know. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. My dad. So when my dad was playing, he played with Washington. He got traded to San Diego Chargers when they were in San Diego. Mm-hmm. He gets to San Diego. My mom and my oldest brother was born at the time. By the time they actually get out to San Diego and start moving in, my dad gets traded back to Washington.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Well, they used to do, so back in the day, you used to be able to, like, hide a player by, like, putting them on IR, or you could try to hide them by putting them on IR, but people could poach off your IR. That's really how. That's how it really happened. The first time, at least. When he first went to San Diego.
And obviously it was a different league, right? Like, the internet and the transaction wire was not a thing back then when Pop's played. Pop's multiple Super Bowl champion with Washington, right? Multiple time? Was it 2-time or 3-time? Two more than you, huh?
Yeah, I know, right?
Damn.
I'm late to say that. Oh, man. But nah, the trades are crazy. The phone call isn't weird, though. That's not weird.
You don't think so? They're in the same building, Chris. Like, hey, dude, just take the elevator downstairs and go talk to him face to face.
But the thing is, were they in the same building?
Yes, they were both in Lambeau Field.
I don't know what the schedule, because everybody's like, you know, people's schedules be different. So it might have been like, okay, like technically our players are done. Let me call and see where he's at.
He was in the sauna, I believe I read. He was like in the sauna at Lambeau Field, and Goody was in his office on like the 8th floor.
Oh, yeah. Usually, like, okay, so now it is getting weird.
Yeah,
I'm thinking he called him. So hold on. They didn't meet face to face?
No, they didn't. It was both phone calls, and then he hopped on a plane. Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking he called them like,
come on
hey,
up.
Russell, because this is usually you get a call like, hey, come up.
Come on up, right. And no,
Yeah.
it was just a phone call, and he hung up on him because he thought he was joking. I think that what my ideal scenario, Chris, is that if Brian Gutekunst knew Rasul Douglas was in the sauna, it's that Brian Gutekunst is taking off the suit coat, putting a towel around the waist, popping in the sauna, popping a squat next to Rasul Douglas and being like, hey, man, how you doing? Just so you know, you got to jump on a flight to Buffalo, New York.
Old men like to get in the sauna naked, man. You can't.
You can't
come in here. You can't come in here naked and tell me you traded me across the country.
But you love the theory, Chris, that old men love to be naked.
They do, bro. They do, bro. In public,
yeah.
In public, which is wild.
Just let it hang.
They do, bro.
Just let it
hang.
I
can't believe it. I'm like, I think it's just that. I think you reach an age where you're just like, I don't care, bro. Like,
what's this? You told this story a couple months back. It wasn't on Mr. Relevant, so let's repeat it. But wasn't there a story of you being like in a locker room and there was a naked old man that like put his hand on your shoulder? What's the story there?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Coach, it was man, you know, you just when you travel and stuff, like everybody really has like the same locker room. Every team is different. Like sometimes they have nice locker rooms, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they got a coaches and a players. Sometimes it's just like, hey, our coaches are just in the corner, like they're just on that side or whatever, and we're over here. So yeah, you know, you after the game, you know, you strip down, you about to shower and stuff. And, you know, he just put his hand on me and tried to tell me I had a good game, but I'm just like, hey, man, like,
get your paws off,
thanks,
bro. Put some underwear on.
Please get away from me. I'm about to scream. I'm about to scream to the top of my lungs if you don't remove your paw off my shoulder, bro. You could have told me this on the bus. You could have told me this on the plane.
This could have waited. This could have waited.
You could have told me this in meetings. You could have told me this in meetings in 2 days.
But you just got your stuff hanging out. You got your paw on my shoulder, and you're like, hey, man, I was really impressed by you today, brother. It's so gross. Oh, man.
Yeah, bro. Locker room stuff be nasty, though. It be nasty in the locker room. For real.
What do you mean by that?
Man, I don't know, man. You just realize, you quickly realize, I'll tell you this. When I got to college, you quickly realize the NFL was better. The NFL was much better. Everybody, typically like clean, handle their business, whatever.
Sure.
But in college, when I first got to college, man, I was like, damn, man, like, these folks want to rage like me. Ain't no way.
What do you mean by that, though? Like, it's just dirty?
No, not the locker room. Like, sometimes people would just do some dirty stuff, man.
I would like an example.
I'm about to run it down. For you. One, you taking a shower in a locker room with no shower shoes, you're filthy.
I agree.
You are a filthy creature. Two, we just had guys in the shower with no shower shoes on go spit on the ground and rub it with their foot, bro. Like you on like some grass or something. Bro, that's disgusting. Bro,
rub it with their bare foot.
Bro, that's disgusting, bro. That's one of my pet peeves is like nasty, like bathrooms. I'll hold it all day. If where I'm at has a nasty bathroom, I'm holding it all day.
Really? What if you got
I'm
really?
I'm a pee.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Dump.
No,
I'm not taking no dump, bro. I'm not taking a dump.
How long can you hold it? Because I'll be honest with you, I got to go right now, and like I think I can make it through the show, but I can't hold it very long. Like I can't go multiple hours, right? Like
see, but I'm not talking about like an emergency. You got them. You just got to go. I'm talking about just regular, like man, like I'm about to have a bowel movement. I need to get to the restroom soon, but not right now. You just hold it, bro. I hold it. If that restroom nasty, bro, I'm holding it, man.
11 minutes. 11 minutes. We've gone completely off the rails. We're talking about bowel movements. This is what happens when Chris Orr and I get together to solve the world's problems. So what happens. So what were your shower shoes? You were a Crocs guy, weren't you?
Nah. That's too much. I feel like that's too much because then you can't clean your shoes. You got to clean your feet.
So just like flip-flops?
Just some slides.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I was by no means a Division I college athlete, obviously.
But still, if you gotta use the locker room at any point, just a public anything.
But like, I was gonna bring up the dorms, right? Like the dorms, I wore shower shoes.
Oh, okay, yeah, same thing. Yeah, you better be in shower shoes. Ain't that dorms?
Yeah, people are weird.
Them dorms, I ain't gonna lie to you. Them dorms is worse than the locker room.
Bro, I'll tell you what. I was just having a conversation with a couple buddies. I was just having a conversation with a couple buddies of mine, and I got to change his name. We'll call him Smelly Albert. Is what we referred to him as. He was this dude that lived in my dorm my freshman year, and he walked around campus without shoes on. He never wore shoes. He strictly drank out of a mason jar. And I moved dorms my freshman year, so I moved into this dorm where a lot of my friends were. Because I didn't have a roommate, whatever, so I figured I'd go get a solo room over here. And I moved into this guy's hallway. The entire hallway smelled like him. But the first night I'm in the dorm, we're celebrating, right? I'm in my buddy's dorms. We're having a few. And they all leave, right? I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's like 1, 2 in the morning. And I just hear, vaguely, or, just very quietly, I hear a banjo, right? I hear a banjo being strummed and picked and played decently well, but from the other end of the hallway. So I'm like, I gotta go investigate. So I go out my dorm and I walk down the hallway, and I'm at one end, and at the other very end of the hallway next to the bathroom where I walk into with my slides on, may I add, that there's a banjo just being played at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning by Smelly Albert. The guy was a cartoon character. He had long hair. He was from the UP. I had a conversation with him once. He is one of the strangest fellas I've ever met in my entire life, and he's burned into my brain.
I bet. You say you're walking around with no shoes.
Always. Like Chris, I'm telling you, it is the middle of January. There's snow on the ground. He's wearing no shoes.
Yeah. He playing a banjo 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Ain't drinking out a mason jar.
Always.
He's definitely drinking moonshine all day. That definitely wasn't water. He's definitely drinking moonshine.
No, I don't think he had a problem. Like, I don't think he had a drinking problem.
I'm not saying he had a problem.
If you're drinking moonshine out of a mason jar 24/7, yeah, you got a problem. Moonshine is not very good to begin with. Like, I'll have it occasionally, but
I like moonshine.
Well, you're from Texas. That adds up.
But just he's from Wisconsin. I feel like Wisconsin moonshine.
He was a Michigan guy. He just lived in Wisconsin. At that
never
point.
mind.
UP though, so practically Wisconsin. You been to the UP?
No, I haven't. Upper Peninsula?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I ain't been up there. Why was there never a war? I always wanted to ask somebody this. Why was there never a war for the Upper Peninsula?
I'm so glad you asked, Chris. I actually know the story behind this.
Take it away.
So, originally, the UP was a part of the Wisconsin Territory.
Really? I didn't even know this part.
Yeah. And then...
You took it?
So, no, Michigan and Ohio were going to war over the stretch of northern Ohio where Toledo is. And it was literally called the Toledo War. And then the government, to keep the two states from actually, like, shooting at each other, said, okay, we'll give Ohio Toledo, and then Michigan, you get the UP. So then the federal government just took it from Wisconsin.
Is this a real story?
Because I would make this up.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past you, I'll be honest.
We need to take this back.
This is real.
We need to take this back. First of all, Toledo, that little slice of Ohio where Toledo is not that big. Compared to the Upper Peninsula, bro, you just gave them the whole half of the state of Ohio over a little slither? Come on, man.
Huh.
We need to take it back.
It was like shipping lanes and factories.
How do we go about that, Chris? How do you and I, as Wisconsinites, proud Wisconsinites,
take it back?
Yeah, how do we start? I believe that when Michigan and Wisconsin play, or like maybe the Lions and the Packers play, or something, like it should be almost like a trophy, right?
The Michigan-Wisconsin game should be like a UP trophy.
So and then you get it for what 2-3 years because they don't play every year.
You get it, and I think that it'd be dope if both the states could make this happen. I think that whoever wins that game, let's say we play like every other year, so like you said, 2 years. Whoever wins that game, we literally, for the next 2 years, that's a part of the UP's ours now. It's not yours anymore.
I like it. And they
you
should
can't
play.
Include it in pictures.
They should play the game. And you've never been to the UP, but in Marquette, Michigan, where Northern Michigan University is, there's a big dome. They should play it in the dome at Northern Michigan University.
Oh yeah, we should play up there. It's
All
in
right.
the it's in the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, correct. In Marquette.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, bet. Oh yeah, yeah. It should definitely be played.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
I actually like this idea. I don't know how
That'd be
you.
dope.
I don't know how the governments would feel about it. I believe. I mean, I know Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin. I think it's Gretchen Winters or something is the governor of
We need
Michigan.
to get them together.
We need to get them together in a room with us three, the three of us, solving the world's problems as we do.
Yes.
And we need to
Yes.
pitch this as an idea.
Hunter can talk about the history.
Yeah, we need to return it.
we'll
It's
just
our
talk about the
rightful
games.
land.
So it was originally ours.
Yes,
Wow.
That's crazy. We need to go take it back.
exactly. And I've seen
What are we
people like
doing?
tweet about how like the fact that Wisconsin hasn't taken it tells me everything I need to know about that state, and I take it personally every time.
Yeah, no,
'Cause
that's
this was
fair.
the federal government doing it to
Wow.
us.
This is
true.
a fascinating topic that we've
That is
stumbled
true.
into.
You need to take it back, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
Your family been in Wisconsin like for generations.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you need to hit your granddaddy up, ask him why the hell he let them take the UP from him.
I actually will. I'll shoot him a phone call and ask him that very question. Think I might see him this weekend. I might pop by his
I don't
house.
even know if that's the right age though.
No, it was probably much before his time. He was born in the
Yeah,
40s.
yeah, way
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, it was before his time. Ask him why
You
his
can ask him
grandfather
why he didn't do anything about it in his prime.
in the last 80 years. He just turned 80.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's 80.
he just turned 80.
Man,
Yeah.
that's dope. That's dope, man.
What is dope about being 80?
Because you've seen a lot of life.
That's
You've seen
true.
a lot.
He has. It's true. Anyway, all
You've
right.
seen a lot.
Wisconsin, Indiana, Saturday. Chris, you called it yesterday. It could be a trap game for the Badgers. Why do you feel that way?
Just because we're coming off of 2 emotional weeks back to back. That's the main thing. We're coming off 2 emotional weeks back to back, and if we go into that stadium like halfway asleep, then there's the opportunity for them to turn it into a messy, ugly game, and that usually helps you out when you're.
Don't you think it's going to be messy and ugly regardless?
No, I'm hoping to see the Wisconsin team that we were that we were advertised for this year, which they showed, I think, in the fourth quarter of Illinois and throughout the Ohio State game. I think if that Wisconsin Badger team shows up, then we'll see the progress and the thought process of what
Sure.
Coach Fickle and Coach Longo and Tressel are trying to put together here. So I'm hoping to see that. I think that we should win by 2 possessions. You should win by 2 possessions. I think you feel good if you win by 2 possessions. But that hasn't been the issue with this Wisconsin Badger team. It's been the way that our games have looked, which, people try to come up with the excuse of like, oh, you won, you did it, this is that. And it's like, bro, but you still can't, you can never negate the fact of like, yeah, like we just said, literally like you just said. On paper, the University of Wisconsin should never be close to Georgia Southern. You should never be close to Buffalo.
No.
Like that shouldn't even be close.
It should be like Badger Stevens Point the other night.
Oh my gosh! It should be like a.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you steamroll them, but it should be like Wisconsin has control of this game.
There is clearly a competitive discrepancy, right? Like that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So like more so stuff like that, which is harder to do in Big Ten play. But that's why I said you should win by 2 possessions, which is just 9 or more points.
What does your shirt say? The Grit Factory?
The Grit Factory.
Who came up with that again? Because I remember that hat. Who was that?
Colin Wilder.
That's right. It was
Oh, my
C.
boy's
Wilder.
calling me.
Who's calling you?
My dog, man.
Your dog. Oh, not like a. I got to be honest. I had a little bit of a brain fart there. I thought you literally
Dog's a
meant.
real dog.
I thought you were talking about an animal. Who's your dog? Give him a shout out here. Who's calling you?
Let me give him a shout out.
Who is it?
Chris.
Oh. Well, why don't you answer the phone? Bring him on the program.
We on the podcast.
Yeah, I will take Paul Christ on the podcast, Chris.
I can't shout throw that on him like that. I gotta give him a heads up. Hey man, you give him a podcast. Yada yada.
All right, fair enough. You can work on that. We'll have him on next week. All right, just make sure
Yeah,
you
there we
come
go.
back.
Let's
You
work
come
on
back, and he can call you mid-interview again. Huh?
I should just answered, huh?
You should have answered. I'm a little bit disappointed. I hope he calls again. How's he doing? Is Chris? He's still at Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doing well?
Texas. Yeah, I think he's doing well. The last time I talked to him was probably like a few weeks ago. But Yeah, I think he's been enjoying it for sure. Just enjoying. He's a football guy.
So are you. You are a football guy. I need to tell this story. So we were talking about IQ. I mentioned that at the top. So last night we're having a few drinks, and Chris takes my coaster in which my beer was sitting on. He grabs his coaster and he starts explaining about how if a D lineman switches their gap, right? So like if they're supposed to go through the A gap and they go through the B gap, that the linebacker needs to backfill. So he's using coasters and his beer to like draw diagrams on the bar table. Like we were getting into the nitty gritty of it last night, and it was very good. So you are a football guy, my friend.
Yeah, football guy, man. Football guy through and through. You something to do with football, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. And I was raised on old school ball, not this dang agility ladder football that they're trying to have now.
Agility ladder football?
I was raised on screws in the chin. That's what I was raised on. Everybody now, these kids, man, we keep trying to have them doing 7-on-7 and all these dances and stuff.
Oh, relax. You're being a hardo, but I do want to know your thoughts on the targeting rule.
I'm actually a little serious.
Targeting rule, automatic ejection, good or bad?
Bad.
Okay, that's what I figured. I mean, you're a linebacker.
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm so glad you asked me that because I was it just made me mad the other day. One, I'm gonna tell you why the targeting rule is so bad. One is the ejection is wild. That's wild to me.
I agree.
I don't think people understand how fast that happens. Like on the football,
it's so fast.
Sometimes if I'm on an offensive lineman and the running back's coming behind him, if I hit the offensive lineman and blink, the running back's already here. Like I'm already going through that motion. By the time I open my eyes, I've made the tackle, and you just hear the stadium or whatever. So like, for them to try to make it seem like you have to have this perfect judgment of hitting them here and not there, and it's like we're trying to take out violence in a violent game.
Yeah,
it's like, and like I understand like we're trying to like help it or whatever, but like they just try to use all these code names to try to trigger people. Like launching, like every player, like you literally, that's how you hit. Like even if you're striking with your hands, you launch. Like you launch through your hips. That's where your actual strength is. Like it's through your legs. That's why all these guys squat and power clean, because you're working that triple extension of exploding your hips. So everybody launches. You launch on every type of contact that you have. But they use that word as just like a trigger, like, oh, look at him launch. And it's like, bro, he has to launch, because guess what? If he doesn't launch, if you don't match that force, he's going to break his neck. He's going to break his neck if he doesn't match that force. And then I don't like that we don't call it when like a running back is running and literally we see a defender take a crown of the helmet straight to the chest.
Yeah.
That's not a target.
Now, the other thing too, Chris, is like, especially it seems like on out routes or when a receiver's going long or something and they have room up the sideline and a targeting hit happens, they want you to go low. But you're going to tear somebody's ACL. You're going to ruin somebody's career. You're going to ruin somebody's career.
You to go low.
Right. I mean,
no player wants you to go low.
That's awful. And you and I were watching the Thursday Night Football game last night. We see the Steelers linebacker where a teammate runs into him and boom, there goes his knee. It's like brutal, man. Anything low is just dangerous.
Because guess what? If I got a concussion, cool, bro, I'm out week 2, maybe. If it's real bad, maybe I'm out a month.
Sure.
But at least I can still move.
At least you can still walk. At least you're not on crutches,
at least I can still walk.
Right.
Bro, you tear your ACL, you're done for a year.
Which you've done.
That recovery, which I've gone through. That recovery process is horrible. It hurts, bro.
Yeah.
That's bad.
So you recently taught me the new term Anna, which, by the way, last night in a conversation I used correctly. So Anna means animosity. It's something Chris says. He calls animosity Anna, and I used it correctly in a sentence last night. I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you for validating that. Do you hold Anna against Lambeau Field, which is where you tore your ACL?
Nah.
Okay. Okay. I was curious if the
because mine was a contact. Mine wasn't
right
non-contact.
But
I think had it been non-contact, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, and I know it was contact, but it was like one of the first snaps of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, first defensive snap.
Oh, Jesus.
That was mad.
Of the season, right? Because it was that LSU game. Yeah.
Yeah, the season.
Man, that was a fun game. I was feeling bad for you before I knew you as I worked at Lids. Second time I've dropped Lids today, by the way. I worked at Lids up the road at Bay Park Square in Green Bay. Anyway, Chris Orr, always good chatting with you, my friend. Thanks for the time.
You too, brother. Of course.
You're the best. The Grit Factory. Chris Orr always brings it. Always brings the juice. Always brings great analysis and insight. Appreciate him, as always, for taking the time. All right, we'll take one quick break. When we come back, what's Strouf Learned? We're going to talk a little bit about the passing of the great Bobby Knight coming up next. It's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Quarterback matchup of the century coming up on Sunday at Lambeau Field. I can't even say that with a straight face, assuming Brett Rippon is the starter for the Los Angeles Rams versus Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Join us for Green Bay Game Day beginning at 9 o'clock live from the Tundra Trio Houses just outside of Lambeau Field on 620 WTMJ, 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee and 100.5 ESPN in Madison. I'll be joined, as always, by Kyle Wallace, Tori Lowe, Jason Wilde, Rob Domofsky, all going to join us Sunday as we prepare you for Rams-Packers, the matchup of the century, on those three stations as well as Wisconsin On Demand. And you can watch it live on YouTube. Just search ESPN Milwaukee or ESPN Madison. It's Green Bay Game Day coming up Sunday beginning at 9 a.m. So Wednesday, a tough day in college sports as Bob Knight passed away, the great college basketball head coach, served obviously as the head coach at Army, coached Mike Krzyzewski at Army, made Indiana the powerhouse it is, and then wrapped up his career at Texas Tech in the early and mid-2000s. And that was right around, and Hunter, you and I share this in common, we're both very big basketball fans, right, college basketball fans specifically. And that was right when I was getting into the college hoops, right, like 2005, 2006, and I remember the infamous Bobby Knight clip where he starts throwing chairs onto the court, right? They showed that as I was watching a Texas Tech game. And, you know, it is just, and look, Jay Billis, who, by the way, bucket list guest, we need to get him on the pod here with college basketball season coming up from ESPN. But he wrote just a brilliant column on ESPN.com. I think it was titled, I Like the Bob Knight I Knew. Because, look, he was animated as hell, right? And he could be a real dick. And people definitely disliked Bob Knight, a lot of people. And he pissed people off. And he was totally... animated is the right word, right? He was very passionate about hoops, and he was kind of a drill sergeant, and he was different. He was a different breed, and he was debatably the greatest college basketball coach of all time. And Bob Knight passing away. So, I didn't really learn anything specific, but I learned people's perspectives and relationships with Bob Knight. And with college basketball starting on Monday, it just felt fitting to talk about this. And the memories, which are very little compared to obviously some of the people that are listening or watching, who are older than me and knew Bob Knight at Indiana, because he was only at Indiana, I think, until 2000 or late 90s, and he won a national championship as a player. He won multiple national championships as a coach. He won an Olympic gold medal as a coach. There's nobody like Bob Knight. There was nobody ever like Bob Knight. There will never be another Bob Knight. And it was sad to see he passed away right before the tip-off of the college basketball season. Is there a Bob Knight memory, Hunter, that sticks out to you? Because I think just the animated character he was, I think everybody remembers, whether it was him being pissed off on the sideline or, as I mentioned, the throwing the chairs onto the court. Like, he was the most chaotic figure in college basketball history. So I'm curious if anything comes to your mind.
I just remember seeing the clip of him. I think they were like putting his name up in the rafters at Indiana, and he dropped the line that when I die, I want to be buried face down so my critics can kiss my ass.
Yes.
He was just always authentically himself, and he never apologized for it.
No.
So I just love that. And also, we're going to talk about this more on ESPN Wisconsin College Game Day.
Yeah.
Bob Knight almost became the coach of the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because, and this was before Pat Richter's time as the athletic director, but that is one of the holy shit moments of my career. I had the honor and privilege of hosting the Pat Richter Show for a little over 2 years with the former Wisconsin athletic director, three-sport athlete, Ring of Honor member Pat Richter. And he told me that story, and I had never heard it. And I got to go back into the archives and see if I can find when we had that conversation, because it was a couple of years ago. But I remember we ended up, I forgot what we were even talking about, right? Like, I don't even know how we got on the topic and the subject of Bob Knight almost becoming the head coach. But we ended up spending, I think, half of the episode that day talking about that, because Pat, I believe, was at Oscar Mayer as the president or CEO, whatever his title was there at the time, but he was still on the board and still very much involved with the university here in Madison. And he told that story to me. And I go, wow, Like, I never knew this. So I'm glad you brought that up. And obviously it's fitting. Wisconsin playing at Indiana in football this weekend at Indiana. So I'm sure we will hear a lot of it on the broadcast, both radio and football, or excuse me, and TV for the football game on Saturday. But yeah, I highly recommend weekend reading. I tweeted it out the other day, the Jay Billis column. I liked the Bob Knight I knew. Obviously, Jay Billis working closely with Bob Knight through ESPN and the relationship together. It's a long read, but it is totally worth your time. So you can go find it on my Twitter on ESPN.com at Alex_Strouf. I tweeted it out the other morning. It is a brilliant read. It gives such great perspective into the guy that Bob Knight was. And, you bring up the line, never apologizing for anything, for being himself. Billis writes brilliantly about how there was one thing specifically in which he felt bad about his relationship with somebody. So it's in the column. You got to go read it if you haven't already. All right, we'll be back next week. A lot of football reaction coming up on Monday. Plenty going to be to react to. Brett Rippon and Jordan Love. I hope it's Brett Rippon. I got to be honest with you. Not because I think that elevates the Packers' chances to win this football game that much, because I think trading Rasul Douglas hurts your chances when you're playing a team that has Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, two of the best receivers in football. And I can't believe I'm already saying that about Puka Nacua, who is a rookie, but he is having a brilliant year as a rookie, undrafted rookie. So nonetheless, I don't think trading your corner helps you win that football game, but we'll see what happens with the Rams and Packers, Indiana, Wisconsin. We'll talk about it all Monday. Also, college basketball season starts. We're going to air one of our sit-downs, either with Chucky Hepburn or Connor Season, maybe both, on Monday's podcast as Wisconsin tips off their season. Monday night against Arkansas State at the Kohl Center. I will be there, and we'll talk to Chucky Hepburn, and we'll air them both. I'm making the decision on the fly here. Connor Season and Chucky Hepburn. We aired the Tyler Wall one a couple weeks back. If you missed it, scroll back in the podcast feed. Go listen to it. Good conversation with Tyler Wall about his decision to come back for a final year at Wisconsin. And also talking to Chucky and Connor Seagen a couple weeks back. So we'll air those on Monday as well as we get ready for the college basketball season. Rest in peace, Bobby Knight. Big thanks to Chris Orr. Always a ridiculous conversation with him. We talked about deuces and old men naked touching you in locker rooms. I don't know, man. It always gets weird. Big thanks to Hunter Vaughn. You're the best, Hunter. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you, buddy. I'm Alex Strouf. It's been Mr. Relevant. We'll talk to you on Monday. See ya.